Hey y'all, so we are here again, double dipping on that ass. This week we are listening to episode 1 from season 2, in which we read from scratch. And y'all, you know what I'm realizing? But that was a good ass book, but I don't think I'm ready for a throuple. However, I'm definitely ready for like lots of threesomes with 2 men.
Interesting. Look at
Because
that. Yeah.
And what was the one we just read?
Be Mine.
Be Mine. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be Mine.
Be Mine.
And season 4.
Yes. Girl. I'm like,
yes.
This some good ass sex.
And then in this one, what I love about this one is that this is very much an everybody loving on everybody situation versus like in Be Mine, they were all, she was having interactions with all 4 of the guys or three of the guys.
3 of the guys.
Yeah. But in this, it was everybody was in everybody and on everybody. And yes.
Which I will say is one of my favorite porn categories right now. Maybe that's why I like it.
That's been one of my faves for quite some time. Yeah. That's been one of my faves for quite some time too. Yeah, this story was fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
I very much
was just
enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
also
it was based around a baker, so
ooh, there's so much food talk and it was good. And then it was interesting listening to this because it was the beginning of the 2nd season, and wine, weed, and whatever you need was like kind of prevalent. It was like you could see how it was developing to become a thing that you said on every episode, but it wasn't quite there yet. But you was like,
I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I was like, oh, look at that shit developing. And then one other thing that really stood out to me was your unnecessary hate of Grey's Anatomy.
Nigga, I still hate that shit. That show is still fucking on like 80 years later.
Still watching
the show is still on. It's like a fucking it's like the
still watching it. My sister has come over to the other side and she has watched every single episode, and she's an EMT, so like when they just be sitting there, she has caught up and watched every single season of the show.
No.
Yeah, you're a hater.
Grey's Anatomy is that old ragged horse with one tooth hanging out his mouth.
I actually watched it.
What am I here for? And then they like beat it and put it back in there.
Actually watched the show?
I watched it. I'm like three episodes in season 1.
Okay, you don't get to have an opinion.
Okay,
whatever. But that's the thing that stuck out to me.
Okay.
I still feel a way about your hate. It's fine. Yeah.
Well, all right. Y'all sit back, relax, get your wine, your weed, whatever you need. Oh, you know what? As we talk about our thoughts, y'all tweet us. Let us know what you're thinking as you re-listen to these old episodes.
Yes. Or listen to them for the first time if you're new here. Yeah.
I got caught up on my tongue. I feel like rolling right. Okay, anyway.
Really?
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Come here. Get off.
Hey, Kenrya.
Hey.
Welcome back to what? Season 2 of the Turn On.
Always counting you for a song.
Right. Always counting me for a song. Welcome back. Season 2 of the Turn On. For our season opener, we are reading From Scratch, which is book 1 of the Welcome to Seaport series by Katrina Jackson.
It's dope too.
So sit back, relax, get your wine, get your weed, I gotta figure what I'm doing out.
Bitch, I thought you was gonna practice this ahead.
I did not. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do for season 2. But for now, get your wine, get your weed, get your whatever you need. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Back like we never left. Let's go.
Back like crack. Okay,
No.
I don't like that. Sorry. We back, y'all.
Here we go. From Scratch by Katrina Jackson. Knox hadn't realized it at the time, but somewhere in the back of his mind, he thought last night was a one-off. He'd imprinted every feeling, every taste, every sound into his brain, worried that it would never happen again. So, as he followed Mary to her bedroom, his eyes trained on her bare ass, he felt really fucking lucky. Lucky and horny. Santos closed the door behind him. Knox pulled his shirt over his head and groaned when he felt Santos's hand on his shoulder. Mary stopped and turned at the foot of her bed, watching him undress. He wanted to feel them in his mouth again, but he wanted something else first. "Get on your back," he said, his voice rough with need. He unbuttoned his jeans and pushed them and his boxers down his legs, taking his socks off as well. He crawled on the bed after her, placing kisses on whatever scrap of skin he could, her knees, her thighs, her stomach, until they were face to face. "I missed you two today," Mary said, and he kissed her. He licked her lips and she opened up to him on a sigh. He slipped his tongue into her mouth and gently pried her legs apart so he could settle his hips on top of hers. She moaned and lifted her body to press her mound against him. He smiled and sucked her bottom lip into his mouth. "Soon," he said, and then began to kiss his way back down her body. When he reached the top of her mound, he pulled back and ran his fingers along her slit, just wanting to see her. He moved her lips apart to expose her clit and licked her, sucking her clit into his mouth. "Fuck, baby." Her voice was thick with lust. The sound made his dick throb. "Come here." Knox looked up to see that she was speaking of Santos, who climbed into the bed and settled on his knees at her head. Mary reached out to grasp Santos' dick and stroked him before looking down her body to Knox. That filthy smile would be the death of him. "I'll suck him at the same pace as you eat me." "You dirty little baker," he said, and lowered his mouth to her pussy. Soon enough, the quiet room was full of the sounds of Knox's fingers sliding into Mary's wet pussy, Mary's mouth sucking loudly on Santos's cock, and Santos's moans. "Wait," Santos said, and Knox looked up, his mouth still suckling on Mary's clit. "What's wrong?" Mary asked. "Nothing, Knox wasn't used to seeing Santos at a loss for words. The man didn't speak much, but when he did, he had something to say. So this was new. It was all so new. Mary started stroking Santos's cock, and he struggled to keep talking. "There are a million things I want to do to you both. So many positions. Let's shift." Mary sucked the head of Santos's cock back into her mouth and then looked down at Knox. "Well, you said we should follow his gut." Knox rubbed his thumb against her clit in rough circles. She jumped and moaned. "Didn't he tell you not to be a smart ass?" Santos chuckled and climbed off the bed. He walked toward Knox and slapped his ass. "Now you get on your back." Knox pulled his fingers from Mary's pussy and sucked them into his mouth. Mary scooted up the bed and Knox lay down in her place. "How does she taste?" Santos asked. "Like fucking vanilla almonds and pussy?" Knox replied as Mary cupped his face and kissed him. "I knew she would," Santos replied. "Sit on his face." Mary smiled against his mouth. "I like the way he thinks," Knox mumbled against Mary's lips. "I so agree." She sat back on her knees before crawling over his face, settling her pussy just over his mouth. He grasped her hips and pulled her close. Santos was kissing and licking his neck, their dicks rubbing together before he moved, ran his hands down Knox's chest and stomach, and then grasped his cock. When Santos's mouth settled over his dick, Knox's hips bucked of their own accord. The wet sounds of their mouths on one another and Mary's moans filled the room again. Knox was close, but his mouth was full, so he kept that information to himself while he fucked her entrance with his tongue, his chin putting a bit of pressure on her clit. He spread his legs when he felt Santos's hand stroking his ass. Santos took his mouth away for a minute, and Knox moaned into Mary's pussy as the cool air hit his wet dick. And then Santos's mouth was back, and a wet finger was circling his anus with a soft pressure at his entrance. Knox grasped Mary's cheeks hard and came into Santos's mouth, letting the vibration of his moans send Mary over the edge. This wasn't at all what I thought moving to Seaport would be like, Mary said wistfully to herself. Knox was lying on his back next to her, her head on his shoulder. Neither did I. Before you got here, Mrs. Wright had the best dessert in town. I was just planning to seduce her. Ow, he said when Mary turned her head to playfully bite him. Take it back, she said, looking him in the eyes. He reached out to grasp the back of her neck and raised his head to kiss her. Just before his lips met hers, she moaned, her entire body shivering, as Santos fucked her pussy from behind in deep, slow strokes. Knox pulled her mouth the rest of the way to him, wanting to taste each "oh fuck" as it fell from her lips. Santos grunted, and Knox assumed that meant that Mary was close and she was clamping down on Santos's dick. If the other man was anything like Knox, he wouldn't be able to last much longer. Knox pulled back to watch her face, waiting for the orgasm to take her under. I take it back, honey. Oh, gosh, she yelled, you fucking better. Santos had started off slow, raising her left leg and slipping inside her warm channel, leisurely rolling his body into hers. Knox reached down every now and then to circle her clit or lick her nipples, but he was more than happy to just watch and talk with Mary about her hopes for the bakery, a fundraiser he was planning for some new fire equipment, and Santos's plan to be chief of police in a year. It was all so normal, chatting while Santos fucked her. Even when he started pumping into her faster, his occasional grunts didn't detract from the moment, because normal was relative, Knox thought to himself. He knew that better than anyone. When Mary's face contorted with her orgasm, Santos moved and Mary's head fell down and rested on Knox's shoulder. The two men made eye contact as Santos moved on top of her to fuck her harder and faster, chasing his own release. Knox ran his hand up and down Mary's back lovingly as he watched Santos's face, wanting to witness his orgasm as well. I'm close, Santos breathed in a harsh whisper. And then, just before he came, his muscles tensing and his body jerking, he looked Knox in the face and ground out, you're next. And then he pumped into Mary a few more times before coming with a harsh groan, her name on his lips. Yup, normal is totally relative.
Okay, so welcome back. That was From Scratch, which is the first book in the Welcome to Seaport series. So we will give you a little bit of a background on this story. So this series, Welcome to Seaport, is about this little tiny town in this southern city. I want to say a southern state. I want to say South Carolina.
I don't remember.
I don't know why I'm thinking South Carolina, but this little tiny town in this southern state. And essentially the town is falling apart. So they post on Facebook, hey, come to this town and for a very low fee, you can live here. For very low cost, you can live here, start a business. We're just trying to
give
keep
them like grants to start to bring their businesses.
We're just trying to keep this town from dying, which I feel like we've seen or heard about in the news before.
I definitely saw it in a rom-com.
You know what? Definitely rom-com.
Yeah.
So in this story, there's Mary, who is a baker. She initially is a professor, didn't get tenure, hates her job, but she also bakes. So she says, fuck it. I'm gonna move to this town. Ain't got shit else to lose. So she moves to the town. She moves to the town, and also in the town are Knox and Santos. Knox is a firefighter who he had already been established in the town. I'm not sure how much before he was there, before everyone else, but Knox is a firefighter. He's in the town. He is the entire fire department. I think it's him and like two other people.
He's like the fire chief. He's and it's a volunteer department as well. So
so if there's a big ass fire, Knox and two other niggas and maybe somebody else with a couple cups. And then Knox convinces his homeboy Santos, who he served with in the Marines, to come and be the police force there.
I like that he was really hesitant about it, because he's like, police
suck.
Yeah, he's like, they're corrupt. There's nowhere where you can work where there's no stories about them being terrible to black people. And then he read up on this one and found that there was nothing, and felt comfortable coming in and working there. And also he ultimately wants to take it over and reshape it anyway, which is pretty dope.
Yeah, I thought that was really dope. So they're all in this town. There's other people in the town, but it really focuses on these three people. And long story short, they all fall for each other and begin a polyamorous relationship, which is so fucking dope.
Yeah.
If you ask me. So there's a lot to digest in this particular excerpt in this entire book. So we will start with just the scene itself and then kind of step back into the bigger story.
I like it.
So the scene opens with Knox or Santos.
Knox is following Mary into her room and looking at her ass.
So Knox was like, yo, I've missed you all day. They had sex the night before. Things were great. It was their first time having sex. This is now their second time having sex. And Knox was like, yo, I've been thinking about this shit all day. I'm ready to get in it.
Yeah.
Which begs me to ask you the question, Kenrya. What do you prefer? First time sex or second time, I know the ropes, I've been marinating on how I'm going to do this better sex?
Second time all day.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes that's all within the same, like with my current partner, it was like 5 times in the 24-hour span when we first had sex. But even then, there's a market change difference between first time and second time, because you know a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
And you're not, I don't know, it's a little bit more leisurely.
You're
really
more
sit in
vulnerable.
it.
You're more willing to be more vulnerable, I feel like.
Yeah, because you already got through the hard part.
Yeah, like you done seen each other naked.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, now we just gonna go at it and do it.
Second time is always better to me.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you think the same.
Yeah, I mean, I like the excitement of the first time. Like, I love being like, whew, that's what's there. Or, not what I expected. Let's see where this goes. But, yeah, second time, like, ooh, his shit curves to the left.
Let me shift over a little bit.
Yeah, like now I know I can do this. Or he really responded when I did this. Or she really responded when I did this. So let me try this. Like, yeah. Second time is always, to me, I feel like second time is just great because you really get to marinate in that shit.
It's still new, but you just got a little bit more information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I've been like thinking about that shit all day or for, period.
Because now you know it's good, or at least has a potential to be fantastic.
So then you get to be like,
Have you ever, this is unrelated because this was not their situation, but like had a not so great experience the first time and then decided to still come back again? And then had it be like exponentially better?
I guess, yeah. I'm thinking. Like, it not necessarily it was bad. It just
awkward.
Yeah, like you couldn't get in the rhythm. And then again, once you're like, okay, we saw each other naked, we can go at it. It gets it got much better. I think not that you got, look, if the shit ain't right.
Yeah, it's like, well, how much work do you want to do?
Yeah, I don't want to put too much work into it.
Yeah.
But, good, but not quite clicking. Because I generally, if we're having sex consistently, like the shit clicks.
Right.
Like I don't force it because there's too many dicks in the sea.
Exactly. Just bobbing around out there.
Yeah, just bobbing around. Bloop. That's a dick. Just in the sea. Picked it up. But yeah, I think I'm willing to, give it a second go round if it's not like fireworks at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, It don't have to be fireworks in the beginning, but
it can't be trash.
Yeah,
if it's trash.
And I've done that like once in college the first time. It was like 2 minutes, and I attributed it to the fact that he had been lusting after me for a really long time before I finally fucked him. But it was like, nigga, I remember it was like we were snowed in together.
Nigga, I'm snowed in with this thing.
It was like, ooh, this gonna be good. We can just
fuck all
sex,
day,
go to sleep, wake up. And it was like 2-3 minutes. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
I need that Price is Right.
Exactly. That's what it felt like. And it got better, but we never had fantastic sex. I should have just used that as my guide.
Life is too short for mediocre sex.
I was good and young and stupid and just was like, all right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, because if it's mediocre at the beginning, wait till you got a bunch of hollering ass kids.
Exactly.
Bills and shit. Oh.
Grown me would not have kept that moving, but 21 maybe, me wasn't thinking that far ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so this story was really refreshing because it's a polyamorous relationship, and everyone interacts with everyone.
Yes,
the men they're romantic with one another and intimate with one another. They're also intimate with Mary, and I feel like a lot of times there's such a fear of men being intimate with one another.
Yeah.
And it was just really refreshing to see that, especially written in a book, because I feel like a lot of time these fiction stories are fantasy. And so often women's fantasy is two men, all into me, all about me.
Right.
But it was really cool to see like two men into me, all about me, but also into one another and into pleasuring one another.
Yeah, and they came with their own, like they were friends and had never admitted to themselves or to each other that they felt some attraction. But I don't think they really realized that there was an attraction. I think Santos kind of did. Knox didn't really. But Santos was like, he didn't really want to change their relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really refreshing to see. And it makes me wonder how many women would really be comfortable with, you know, like I feel like we touched on this before, how women help hold on to
toxic masculinity and homophobia. Yeah.
You beat me to the punch.
My bad.
But yeah, I feel like we help hold on to it by, you know, being like, ooh, I never be with a bisexual man. And to me, like, I'm comfortable with my man having been with another man because
what the fuck that got to do with me?
That ain't got shit to do with me. If you with me and you know, with me, then you with me.
Right. If your concern is that y'all are monogamous, then who the fuck does it matter who he would be having sex with?
Because
or who he has had
let's
sex
be
with.
clear, like, niggas gonna fuck scallywags whether or not they men or women.
Exactly.
You know, so to me it's not really a thing, but I feel like that's something that women have to perpetuate, and we also have to get over. And so it was really refreshing to see it written in this fantasy world where it's like two guys into each other, into her, and it's not this weird, nasty, gross thing.
There was never even a discussion like that or any thoughts from Mary, like when we were in her, you know, in her head, like she was just like, yes, I want to see y'all love each other too.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this I always say, and I think Kenrya agrees, the whole Adrienne Marie Brown pleasure activism. One of the things she talks about is, you know, pleasure and pleasuring yourself and loving out loud is a radical act.
Yes.
And to me, these polyamorous relationships are a radical act. You're like, I'm going to love who I want to love on the terms in which I want to love them. And it was just so like, I was like, yo, this is dope as fuck to see it written out and just out loud and in the world.
Yeah, it just also, of course, sucks like anytime that the things that make up us and the things that are just who we are have to be radicalized, right?
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah,
I know.
And I
know what you mean.
I don't want to fetishize. Is that a word? Fetishize.
Yeah,
y'all know what I'm saying. I don't want to like make this some like weird fetish or something like that, because this also rings a bit of like, ooh, your kinky black hair, it's so gorgeous. You're like, bitch, this just the shit that grows out of my head, you know. But also, I just think it's really great to see it just showcased, you know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to see themselves on a page, right?
Yeah,
it's literally why we do this show. Yeah.
Yay.
So I'm glad that, you know, you found this story and that Katrina gives us this space to be able to feature this relationship.
Yeah.
That most people don't know exists or act like they don't exist.
Yeah. Also, one of the things that I loved about this story, Mary is a fat woman. And we have been looking for stories that feature fat bodies because that is
just our reality.
That is a part of life. Like, there are fat bodies, but I make it a point to avoid, like, I was reading this one book and it was about a woman that was fat, and like the first couple pages is like, oh, but I hide this part of my body, or I'm struggling my weight. And it's like, some people in fat bodies just really enjoy their bodies and are comfortable with it. And so I don't want to sound like, this reminds me of that Kevin Hart thing where he was in the shop like, some people are gay, let's not make a big deal out of it. Like, I don't want to not make a big deal out of it because she's fat, but at the same time, I don't want to like ignore over the fact over, you know. And so I think it's really dope that Mary is fat, and it is a descriptor, and some of the scenes describe her thick hips and her big ass, but it's not like it's something
it's not pathologized. It's just who she is.
It's who she is, and it's something that is appreciated and loved by her partners.
Yeah, and by her.
Yeah. I mean, and then she's a baker, which I'm just like, yeah, bitch. She's not
all the scenes where she's baking. I'm just like, just. You know how I feel about carbs.
And yes. And she's like, and she's also like really trying to like perfect her vegan baking.
Yes, which made me really happy.
Yeah.
Don't roll. That apple pie I made you, bitch, that was vegan. I didn't tell you. That's vegan pie crust.
Oh. Shit.
See? Turn your nose up if you want to.
Update. Kenrya did make a pie for my whole house, and I ate it in like a weekend. So if y'all following the whole apple pie situation,
vegan,
that shit was good. So yeah, we appreciate Mary for being fat, appreciate loving her body, not making it this like horrible thing, but also not hiding it. And also just being a baker. Like, she's just a woman, and I think that's the thing. Like, some of us are fat, and we still love and fuck and have 2 men after us and all of that. So it was really dope. I
also love that, like, so she, you said earlier, she was a professor at a college. She got passed over for tenure, which we don't learn a whole lot about, but she definitely like talks about being a black woman and, the whole in the academy and how that shit sucks, and how she really I love that she just was like, you know what?
This ain't working for me.
Yeah, this ain't it. So I'm gonna just go do something else now. Bye. And like her homegirls, she's got this whole little circle of friends, and they're super supportive of her going off and doing what she wants to do.
But her circle of friends were very much a circle of friends. Mary's group of friends were dope as shit because, I feel like, Katrina, black women.
Yeah, clearly.
You know us. And, I mean, you're a black woman, so I guess you do. But I feel like you did a really great job of crafting a group of friends there's a supportive one, there's a one that's like
a little skeptical.
I love you, but I'm gonna be skeptical because I need you to make sure everything, like, I definitely felt our one girlfriend who's in the military and really good with money and always like, you need to think these things. Like, I could see
that was totally her.
a type of my girlfriends and her group of friends. One girlfriend was like, "Oh, that's you, bitch, I'm moving here too." You know, like it was just so dope to see her with such a supportive and robust group of girlfriends. This was just overall a really, really sweet, good book. Like here's
it moved
the thing.
quickly. The pacing was good.
I find myself when things get difficult, or like you know how like books have a story where there's like a crescendo and there's a climax and then this is the problem. We meet the problem and then we fight through the problem. And I don't do
traditional storytelling, an arc.
Okay, yeah, whatever. Tomato, potato, bitch, whatever. That thing. I hate it. I know that's a part of books, and some books are really great. We're actually reading a story for this where it's that, and I am just like, ooh, so good. But like this story, like had it, but it wasn't like, oh my God, will they, want they? It was just, okay, this is a problem. We're gonna face it. And we're gonna get through it. This was such a good.
It was gentle.
It was a gentle book.
Yeah,
it was such a gentle book. So
in the very best way.
In the very best way. I loved the playfulness between the three of them. And you could see it during the sex. I think we've said this a million times that
playful sex is the best. You gotta have fun.
Yeah. And they were like fucking with each other and, you know, giving each other a little something. Like, oh, wait, what did he... Oh, shit. I had a flashback to this morning. Some playful shit that went on. I was definitely about to be like, oh, you reading a book? Definitely not what happened in this, but something what happened this morning. But yeah, it was definitely just like so great to see them so playful and like just enjoying each other in more than just a sexual way, but just enjoying each other's company.
Which is why we kept going in the reading. I really thought it was key to show like how Mary and Knox were just talking while she was fucking Santos. Like they're talking about their hopes and dreams and shit, and she getting her back blown out. I was like, this is the fucking best.
Ain't that the dandiest thing?
Yeah. It's interesting too. I mean, I think we'll talk about this when we have a guest on, but you know, that there's a lot of different ways to be polyam, right? So in this situation, they're a throuple. They are, you know, living their lives together and having sex together. But being polyamorous or ethically monogamous can look a lot of non-monogamous. Sheesh, can look a lot of different ways, and it doesn't mean necessarily that partners are interacting with each other. It can mean that you have separate relationships with separate people, and very often does mean that. But I thought this was an interesting way for us to illustrate it with this particular story.
Yeah, and I think this is where the, you know, every girl fantasy comes in because, bitch, I would love to have two men just happily coming home to one titty apiece. Yeah. Or two titties and a pussy. But, you know, like, it was just like, man, this is just delightful. Delightful. Okay, we touched on this a little bit. So Santos is a cop. Knox is a firefighter.
Very like small town rom-com jobs.
Very much small town rom-com. Have you ever dated a man in uniform?
Bitch, you know I have. I hate you.
I was setting her up.
I hate you. I was like, why is she looking at me like this?
I was setting her up for the thing.
Yeah, I've dated a cop.
So I think some of the attraction to a cop and a firefighter comes with just the uniform.
That ain't why I was there.
Well, okay. So, but you know, like people like, ooh, I love me a firefighter. I love me a cop. I think a lot of it just comes with the uniform. Now, I have a girlfriend who's married to a firefighter, and she's like, bitch, you ain't never heard a song saying fuck the firefighters, right? Fuck the EMS. Everybody loves a firefighter. Everybody loves an EMS worker.
But they have dangerous jobs.
And really good benefits.
Oh, no.
This is where the old auntie and me come in like, girl, you trying to get them teeth fixed. married you a fire.
See, I would just be perpetually worried. Like, so, okay, I still watch Grace. I know a lot of folks
You
don't.
and 12 other people.
Yep, it's fine. It's still on, and I still care about the characters.
Well,
and
you
it
and
still
12 other
gets
black
me.
women.
Yes.
White women still love it.
But so Miranda, like one of the main characters, a black woman who's been there from the beginning, is married to. Why are you making that face?
Who's Miranda?
She's like one of the main fucking characters on the. You don't even
strong
watch
black
the show.
woman?
She's actually had an arc that is deviating from that. She had a heart attack and started having panic attacks and all of this stuff, and so she had to back off that strong black woman shit.
I'm rolling my eyes.
Whatever, bitch. The show is fantastic.
Okay.
My point is that her husband went from being an anesthesiologist to being a firefighter.
Who the fuck does that?
Niggas on Grey's Anatomy.
You're right.
And but so she spent all this time, like, she's always worried about him. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's just, it's dangerous. So that would be my concern.
Yeah.
Good benefits are cool, but damn, are you gonna come home?
So how do you feel about like with dating a cop, like the fuck the police? Or you know what, I'll start because you're rolling your eyes so hard at me because I know where this is. But like, so it's really difficult for me to like, actually one of my partners right now is former police. And just, as being a black woman and all that shit, like, man, I can't fuck with the popo.
Yeah.
It's hard to fuck with the popo. But when you meet black men that are police, like, you kind of understand, like, okay, they're trying to, like, work from within or do what's right or help the community. And I think that especially to combat what's happening in the world with the police, we need
we're so Midwestern police.
I know. I think with the police,
yes,
I feel like we need black people from their own community who want to police. I think a part of that is I mean, like, don't get me going because I am not the pro on this. Kenrya is.
I'm not a pro. I think community policing is great in theory, but if we're talking about a system, the carceral system as a whole, we need to abolish that shit. And so police departments and law enforcement as they stand right now are not a tenable thing if that's where we're going. That said, I mean, the cop who I dated, his whole thing was exactly that. You need some people within the system to be able to fight. You can't just do it all from outside. And it's cool, whatever. But honestly, the biggest issue that I face with him and that I see with a lot of cops is that they're fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Like, it's like power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Like, okay, sure, community policing, but you're still a fucking asshole. And so just on an interpersonal level, it doesn't work for me, and I would never date a cop again. And hopefully I won't date another person again. But when I was on the fucking,
Did you hear that?
Ooh. When I was on the apps, I had certain things that were automatic left swipes. Being a law enforcement officer, calling yourself an alpha male, posting a picture of yourself with your car.
Sapiosexuals.
Yes. Fuck them.
What the fuck is a sapiosexual?
Someone who claims that they are sexually attracted to someone's mind. Get the fuck out of here.
Yo, fucking, what was the mindset? Dead prez ass. Get the fuck on. I don't even know what the fuck a sapiosexual is.
I didn't know until I got on Bumble.
A goddamn Bumble. I just be like, I'm not Googling to know what the fuck you are. Pussy sexual? Okay, I can do that.
It's just so pretentious and bullshit.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like, also, what I hate,
you swipe because you saw my titties on here,
right? Like, you didn't even see what the fuck was going on. Also, what I hate, and I don't understand it. One, niggas that take pictures at their desk at work. Like, I have a job. Here's my cubicle. One.
Well, they trying to prove they had just like the niggas
put
who
their Myers-Briggs personality, and maybe this is just DC. If this goes on outside of the DC area, please let me know. But I feel like this is some total DC shit. But they be like, I'm an ENTJ OMP.
Where did OMP come from?
What the fuck? Like, I don't even know what the fuck that means. And
I actually I looked those up.
I'm not asking you to fucking supervise me in making sure I get my TPS reports in. Like, am I gonna enjoy you? Are you gonna fuck me right? Like, I don't need your fucking Myers-Briggs personality test.
That's so
for
funny.
fucking relationships. Like, get the fuck on.
I do like, not that it's something that I look for, but when they put them on, if I'm already attracted to them, because it's not going to be the thing that's going to make me swipe, obviously. But if everything checks out and I want to like start up a conversation, right? Because I only would do ones where I could start the conversation because it could be a good conversation starter. So like I would look them up to see what it was and then say something
you're
about
an
them.
ENTJ-OMP. How would you start that?
Well, it would depend on what their thing was. So sometimes it would be something that was really close to mine, which I'm blanking on what it is. But so then like there would be a conversation about how we're the same or we're different.
I like lists. Do you?
Wittier than that, because a bitch is clever.
And this is why I get nothing on the apps.
But you know, it was, sometimes those are interesting. To me, it's like astrology. Like if somebody says that they're, you know, a Capricorn, I'm like, oh, so you frugal? You know what I mean? Like it turns into like a whole conversation. It can, if they not dry as fuck. So it's just a conversation starter to me.
Okay. I'll give that to you. I'm still not swiping on the ENTJ-OMP.
I dig it. I wonder, that is a good question, if it's something that happens outside the DMV.
I feel like it's
such
only a DMV
area.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely a DC.
Yeah. I remember when I moved back here after living in New York for so long, and the first time I went out and a nigga like asked if I had a business card, and I was like, the fuck?
I never have business cards, but I definitely do ask people what they do. And
that's
I know
so
that
DC and so ugly.
I
hate it.
Yeah, I know people hate it. But to me, it's not even a trying to size you up thing. I just feel like people are at work you're at work more than Monday through Friday, more than you're at home. And so for me, that gives me a clue in like what you do, what makes you excited. Because even now, if someone asks me like, what do you do? I'd be like, I usually tell people I get paid a whole lot of money to boss people around. But what I really enjoy doing, and then I go into the podcast. So it's not even I usually don't tell them I get paid a lot of money because nigga, you buying drinks. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, and that sounds pretentious. But you know, I like say some bullshit about like gloss over what I do, but really what I'm interested in is my podcast. Because I look at it less as a sizing you up and more as a, okay, motherfucker, you at that bitch for 8 hours, 10 hours a day. You know, you're away from your home for 10 hours a day dealing with this shit, like commuting, whatever. Let me know what it is that you are interested in, what you like to do as opposed, well, not even what you like, you know, but like it just gives me for me, that's more of a jumping off point than ENTJ, LMNOP.
And see, I think you're unique in looking at it that way. I think most people in this area are sizing you up.
Oh, well, you ain't getting shit out of me.
I mean, not about money, but like I remember like going to CBC events a few months ago, and not just men, like everybody who I met. Oh, what firm are you with? What do you do? Bitch, I mind my motherfucking business like you should be.
Oh, see, I don't get yeah, okay.
It's just rude to me.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
By it. Well, I will. If I ask you, if you out with Erica and she asks what you do, is definitely not because I'm trying to size you up. I literally just want to know what makes you tick. Because, again, and also if you're not like, there should be something that gives you joy in life. And so that's why I'm like, oh, well, I work, but this is what I do this is my passion, not, you know, keeping homeless people out of jail or something like that. Because I find when I ask that kind of question, I get, you know, like if I were to ask you, what do you do? I'd like learn like a whole bunch of shit about like some really dope books and, you know, like really dope websites and that kind of thing.
I don't even go. I usually just say I write.
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's just me playing down my shit, but I write.
Yeah. See, if I were interested in you, I would ask more. About what? Where do you write? You know, that kind of thing. But bitch, I got you. You ain't going no motherfucking where, so you can keep them short ass answers. You can keep them short ass answers. Okay, so we talked about polyam relationships. You touched on how polyam relationships can be different. They can be, a throuple where it's all three. Well, I don't even say throuple. It could be a relationship in which everyone
is in relationship
with each other. Yeah. It could be, one person having two separate relationships and everyone knowing about it. It could be, each person having their own relationships. Mm-hmm. Polyamorous relationships look a million different ways.
Yeah.
And hopefully for our 1.5 episode of season 2, we will get to speak with someone that can talk about her personal experience, mm-hmm. her very specific experience in a polyamorous relationship.
Yeah.
But makes me want to ask you, do you think you could be in a polyamorous relationship, Kenrya?
No. And I can answer that quickly because I just recently did this whole series for prevention about like sex diaries of people, mm-hmm. Where folks just told me every part of their sex lives for a week, for some of them, for months, for some of them, like folks who didn't have sex for very frequently. And 3 of the people who I interviewed are actually in, one was in an open marriage that recently closed, and 2 were in polyamorous relationships. Why do I have such trouble saying this shit? Ethically non-monogamous relationships. And it was all different ways. And so it was great because when I do this kind of work, it gives me a really great jumping off point for conversations with my partner. And so we were talking about it. He was like, is this something that you would ever want to do? And I was like, nah. And he was like, well, why? And I was like, well, I think it is a fantastic way to live for folks who it is for. I don't have, there's no judgment about it. It is just that I know myself. And I think because my number one love language is time. Mm-hmm. I don't like to share.
Yeah.
I require a lot of time. I just do. I want to see you on a regular basis. I want to spend all the moments of the weekends with you. I want to talk on the phone with you every day. I want to be able to pop over and grab lunch. I want to be able to pop over and have a quickie before I got to pick my kid up from school. And if the boundaries that we have to set are such that we are sharing, whatever, that won't work for me because I'm too greedy.
Yeah. I mean, I used to always say I couldn't be in a polyamorous relationship. I don't think I could be in a throuple or a relationship where we all are, with one another. Mm-hmm. Because to me, that requires a level of respect and communication. I mean, it's hard respecting and communicating well with one person, let alone 2-3 people.
Yeah, you got to be so mature and good at setting and maintaining boundaries and knowing what you want and being able to communicate that.
Yeah, but I think I could be in an open relationship where we prioritize one another. Mm-hmm. So if I need you, I want you, you need to drop whatever you got going on mm-hmm. to be with me, So
that was your understanding with your primary partner.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I think I'd be okay with because to me, sex is sex. Mm-hmm. Intimacy is another thing. And so I'd be fine with you, doing your thing and me doing my thing. I mean, at least right now. I mean, I don't think I could see that being a super down the line thing. But until we hit a point, I mean, I have a couple partners now.
Right.
Where it's you do your thing, I do my thing, and we'll do our thing together. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's really formally because we're not necessarily a couple, so I don't think we could call it an open relationship. But I think as long as everyone's being respectful of one another, and in these relationships, we're not we're not primary partners or anything. We're just dating. But if I were a primary partner and it was understood that what I want, what I need, I shut down, I'll be fine because I'm gonna be doing the same thing. And I think that You know, this is where, you know, we talk about that line with we talked a little bit when we were talking about hoteps, how hoteps give polyamorous relationships a bad name, I feel like, because with hoteps, it's you know, I'm the only dick in the equation thing.
Right.
Like, I am the man. I'm going to have all my bitches. Well, I'm going to have all my women.
Your queens.
Y'all my queens, and y'all my queens, but I'm the only king in your life. And, you know, I'm gonna do my shit, you do your thing, and we just gonna be cool. You know, like, we don't understand that this is a two-way street. I think I'd be okay with that.
Right.
You know?
I think it's interesting because that made me realize that even in my response, I've internalized that, because I took it from the standpoint of me being with somebody and him being with somebody else, and not from the standpoint of me being with somebody and me also being with somebody else. And part of that is, you know, conditioning, right? So conditioned as being conditioned. But also, I have no desire to put in that much. Like, being in a healthy relationship requires a lot of energy. And that's not a bad thing. And I'm not saying it requires a lot of work, but I'm really intentional about the way that I develop my relationship with my partner and the way that I interact with him. And the idea of doing that with more than one person is exhausting. I'm tired. Like,
yeah, no, I couldn't see myself giving, because if I'm with someone, I give
so much.
If I'm with you, I give you a lot of me.
Right. And I wouldn't do it like, you know, you're saying, like, if it's sex, it's sex. But I think, you know, usually with a polyamorous relationship, it's not really the same as just being open where you're having sex with somebody else. I mean, it could look that way.
Yeah.
But it could also look like you have an intimate, fully developed, well-rounded relationship with somebody else. And that just feels like too much for me.
That's too much fucking work.
Yeah.
Yo, like, I think, if you're doing it, well, if I'm doing it right, I don't say if you're doing it right. If I'm doing it
the
right,
way that you want to.
Yeah, the way that if I'm doing a relationship, I am with you right, the way that I want to. I'm saying right, and like as in right for Erica. I'm putting a lot of energy into that person. You know, I'm putting a lot of energy into that relationship and making it work, because it's tough. You know, putting two people together.
Yes. Grown folks who got their own lives and come with all their own stuff. And
I ain't giving that shit to multiple people.
Right.
Because I ain't got it to give to multiple people.
Right.
Like, it takes a lot for me I am a mother. I have to, like, account for a whole nother little person.
Right.
If I'm with you and I'm accounting for you and another little person, I be goddamn if I'm gonna throw another motherfucker into the mix. So I say, like, I would be down with an open relationship in the sense of here and there.
Right,
no
you get to define it. Define it the way that you want to.
Yeah, and
you all do.
I say, I used to say marriages, but I say all relationships are essentially a contract between those people. And whatever you want it to look like, that's what it is. And as long as y'all honoring what you put this to be,
right,
then that's cool.
Right.
And I think it's so much more important when you're when you're a polyamorous relationship, because you really have to, like, think about what goes into this contract, and can I honor it? Can I be okay with this? You know?
And trust that your partners can. And I think that that's part of, you know, the unsaid part of why it feels difficult to me. And it's because I've been in a relationship that was open and didn't know it, right? Yeah. Like, as someone who was cheated on in a marriage for many years, there's always this underlying fear that the contract will not be honored. Yeah. And, you know, it's not something I struggle with every day, because I've, you know, gotten to a point where I'm with a partner who I trust. Yeah, you're with a partner
that gives you that
exactly assurance. And so I do not make him pay for the sins of other niggas. But the idea of being in a relationship where you got to bring that many more people into the contract feels scary to me because of what I have been through before. Yeah.
I mean, I think that I think that young Erica that was willing to like, yeah, I want to get, like whatever you want. I'm a cool girl.
Yeah.
I probably would have been like, I'm down for an open relationship and been all fucked up, But I think now that because shit, had you asked me fucking 12 months ago or a year, depending on how you look at it. Had you asked me a year ago, I don't think I would have been down for an open relationship.
Interesting.
But as, I think and grow and change, I definitely think I would be okay with it. But one, I'd have to be very sure that the person, well, you're never sure, but I have to be very comfortable that the person that I'm in this relationship with is going to respect and honor the rules that we set.
Right.
Yeah, and I'd have to be sure that the rules that I set I am comfortable with. The rules that I agree to. No, that I said, like, I ain't agreeing to shit.
That y'all that you set together.
You're right. That we set together. That I'm comfortable with, you know. But yeah. As I grow and learn and change, this all changes. So in another 12 months
or a year,
that might be different. But yeah, that's where I am.
It's evolution, baby.
Evolution, motherfuckers. So that's us.
It is.
That's how we feel about polyamorous relationships. Kenrya had to correct me because, poly is more of a term for Polynesian folk.
That's right.
And not polyamorous folks. So the correct term is polyam. Just a little learning there. I'm going to be pretentious and share what I learned.
It came from, it was an issue, like a whole issue on Tumblr where Polynesian folks were having trouble finding their communities because polyamorous folks were using the poly tag.
Okay. Yeah. And I'd be mad if I was a fine ass Samoan with some thick thighs and long, thick ass wavy hair looking for some more fine ass, thick thighed, long wavy, thick haired people.
Really?
And I come with y'all freak ass polyamorous folks. I'd be whatever, I'd be like,
you'd be fine.
Hey, but I was looking for some fine, thick. I sound like that nigga that left that voicemail. I was like, gushing and a farting and a sucking and a...
What the hell?
I'm gonna have to send it to you.
Is this something on Twitter?
It was some shit on Twitter. This dude left this long ass like voicemail like, girl, we gonna be fucking and a gushing and a fart, and I would be fucking you and gushing and a fart, and it's gonna be gushing. He says more than gushing and farting, but anyway, that's how I feel as I describe Polynesian folk. Oh my God, this went a whole different place.
It did.
I apologize.
Lordy.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us for our first episode back from season 2 of the Turn On.
Ooh-wee.
This is Erica and Kenrya, two hosts making it clap.
This episode was produced by us, Kenrya and Erica, and edited by Ballistic. The theme music is from Brazy. Hit subscribe right now in your favorite podcast app and at youtube.com/The Turn On Podcast so you'll never miss an episode.
Then follow us on Twitter at The Turn On Pod and Instagram at The Turn On Podcast. And you can find links to books, transcripts, guest info, what's turning us on, and other fun stuff at theturnonpodcast.com.
And don't forget to email us at theturnonpodcast@gmail.com with your book recommendations and your pressing sex and related questions.
And you can support the show by leaving us a 5-star review, buying some merch, or becoming a patron of the show. Just head to theturnonpodcast.com to make that happen.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon. Holla.